The Branding Your Business podcast is for small business owners looking to build a customer favorite brand and a value-driven business. From solo shows covering marketing tactics to experts sharing their brand stories, each episode delivers actionable insights for entrepreneurs who want to impact the world. We're sharing how strategic moves and authentic connections can build a profitable business minus the burnout. Tune into the Branding Your Business podcast with me, Praise Santos McKenna of Come Plum, to design a brand your audience adores while building a life you love. Welcome back to the Branding Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Praise Santos McKenna. I'm the founder of the branding studio Come Plum in San Francisco, California. I'm talking with a friend who is all the way on the other side of the country in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which, by the way, Lashonda, I need to tell you, I got engaged in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So the mountain people are my people. You're my people. It's like a big part of my heart. So we'll dive into that more. But let me tell you about Lashonda.
I had no idea. Okay. That's a side quest I want to go down.
Yes. I mean, just like national park vibes, really beautiful. If you all don't know, the Blue Ridge Mountains are in Virginia. If you're itching for a really beautiful place with good people who I learned don't steal your stuff, what Lashonda told me before we started recording. Let me tell you about her first. Lashonda Brown is a Canva verified expert and award-winning tech educator based in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. Through her YouTube channel and tech education company, Bootstrap Biz, Lashonda teaches service providers how to do less and live more fulfilling lives by leveraging tech. Lashonda heavily advocates for sustainable, healthy rhythms in business and is most well known for her 20-hour work week practice that's built on the foundation of deep focus work and a mindful morning routine. Lashonda is a proud member of Rotary International, and she sings soprano regularly with the volunteer orchestra Lynchburg Pups. You actually were singing a little bit earlier while we were talking. Do you narrate your life in a musical? I always wonder for people who can sing if they do that.
Have a soundtrack for everything. So I don't necessarily sing everything, but I literally walk around the house with my Bluetooth speaker like a boombox. And yeah, that's my life.
Okay, so what were we listening to this morning? What was this morning's vibes?
I did some forest bathing. I had that playlist. I did my gratitude playlist. So I cycled through those before work.
That sounds really just grounding. Yeah.
Before I open my inbox, get my heart in the right place.
Preach. Okay, so the forest bathing playlist, does that just sound like what the Blue Ridge Mountains sound like? Does it just sound like you open your doors?
Yeah, I mean, it just bird noises, rustling of trees, babbling brook. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, music is very impactful in my life. And so depending on the mood I would like to have, I tend to pull up that playlist to get myself in that place. So in the morning, part of my mindful routine is to tidy up the common areas of our house. We live in a 3-story house. And so that way, because people pop by all the time, so I never have to feel like, oh, I'm not ready to entertain you because I've already done that before, my husband got out for work. And so instead of being stressed or frustrated about the fact that I have to clean up and do the dishes, sweep the floor, that kind of thing, I put on my gratitude playlist and I'm just like, okay, thank you, Lord, for these dishes to wash. Thank you, Lord, for this kitchen to clean, because I could not have it. And I'm grateful for it. So usually by the time the playlist is over, I'm in a much better place and then my dishes are done. So that's just part of how I start my day.
Oh my gosh. And recording here, this is all we need to do. The thing, what is the attitude that you want? Hit that playlist and here we go.
Hit the playlist.
So good. Can people find you on Spotify? We'll have to.
Well, yeah, I guess I could share my playlist. Yeah, I truly do have a playlist for everything. And it's so funny. I've been finding a lot of different YouTube videos where people are doing these acoustic unplugged worship sessions. And those have been really good. So I've been cycling through those as well on my YouTube channel. So, I just feel like at a certain point, you can either let the day decide your mood or you can decide your mood for your day. And that's what I would prefer to do. I'd rather have a bit more control, kind of curate what I let in. And little by little, it's you can't live under a rock, unfortunately, but you don't have to let the floodgates in when you first wake up. And so I just slowly but surely ease my way in. And then by 10 o'clock, I'm like, all right, jump in the deep end, open up that inbox.
Yeah, because life will be lifing either way, but you do have some choices along the way. And I love that a playlist helps you start out right. So at 10 a.m., Lashonda opens her inbox, but this is a 20-hour work week. So she's only
Right.
looking at her inbox from, is it like from 10 to 3 every day? Like, what's the breakdown
10 to
of this?
3, Monday through Thursday, unless I'm going to ladies' Bible study and I'm in the one with all the retired ladies who got plenty of time on their hands. So then I have to do half days on Friday when I'm meeting with the joy ladies because they like to yap.
It goes over. It's not a 1 hour
It
Bible
goes
study.
over. No, it's like a 3-hour commitment, girl. Yes, yes, it's a lot, but I love them and it's very sweet. And I think too, it's hard sometimes. Those things that actually fuel us and sustain us for the long run are the things that we're tempted to cut first. And so it's like every time I do have that on my calendar, it's a good practice to say what actually matters. This actually matters. Yes, you're taking time away from your desk on a Tuesday in the morning, but the work will still be there and the work will still get done. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's life.
Well, how did you become this sage budget time manager? Because the water we swim in 2025, Lashonda, it's hard out there, right? Like
It is.
you get so many messages about hustle culture, work is important. How
Yeah.
did this evolve? I imagine you didn't wake up one day and you're like, oh, I should just try a 20-hour work week. Was there like a deciding point
Heck
or was there
no.
like a aha moment? How did your priorities get shifted to be this way?
Yeah, I think it just started. Honestly, I had this realization one day where I looked over at my husband and I was like, man, I have a problem. I like wake up stressed. I don't know why. No one's talked to me. Nothing's happened, but like I wake up in a stressed out state. How is that possible? And so over time, I just started to realize like, okay, part of why I was waking up that way was because of how I went to sleep. And then I started going, okay, well, what does my calendar actually look like? And there were all these different things that were taking up space on my calendar and felt like obligations, but they were actually just distractions disguised as opportunities. And so all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I need to just get real with myself and I need to audit my life. Like, are these things that I feel like are absolutely essential? Are they essential or is it just busy work that makes me feel productive? Because productivity is about how you can do the most in the least amount of time possible. And I think we've wired ourselves to think that, oh, I'm productive if I have a lot of things to do. And that's just not the case. And so I started to realize, like, at what point, I call it when my brain's screaming. And my husband's like, oh, I get it. I can see it on your face. Like, what is that point where I hit the wall and my brain is screaming? I feel like an Instapot that hasn't been vented. And I'm like, I can't. I could keep pushing and I could keep going, but I'm going slower. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. Simple things are taking far too long. And that was 20 hours, like clockwork. It was like when I hit that 20-hour mark, because of the type of work that I do, I was spent. I was taking naps in the middle of the day because I'm like, I got nothing left. And so I just started thinking, okay, well, if 20 hours is all I got, well, then I need to figure out how can I get this work done in 20 hours. And I started to delegate things and I started to automate things. And so when people ask me like, how do you do it? There's no secret. Like, you got to tell yourself there has to be things on your calendar that you can eliminate that you haven't been willing to let go of. And then once you realize what's absolutely essential, either a human has to do it or a robot has to do it. It is what it is. And that's what I figured out. And that's what I teach people. So the end goal is a more mindful life where you use technology to do the things that need to get done that somebody else can do.
That's huge. I hate that your mind had to explode a little bit or had to like just get to that breaking
It
point
was
to
that
learn
warning
this.
light. It was like a car. It was like that alert was on. That light was on in my dashboard saying, "Look, sis, you're headed for burnout. You like if you don't put yourself down, I will put you down." And so I'm like, "All right, I get it. I get the memo. Like I'll work on it." And that's really what it is. We can feel it. We just ignore it.
Even though you are superwoman in my eyes, you are just human and you have your own limits. And that makes sense. And for those listening, we talk about this quite a bit on the podcast because I want people to understand that people with these platforms, and if I'm like, they're human, we had to learn these things too of just limiting ourselves, like honoring our strengths and our limitations is what God has called us to do. We are wired in certain ways. And so if you are feeling stressed or anxious, sometimes it's the basic things like having a hard time eating or sleeping or having fun. If you can't do those things anymore, those might be warning signs of beep up. There's something not alignment, like your values are off or you're pushing your body past its limits. And I love that you had to just take a moment to get real with yourself. It was not like, oh, I had this revelation one night and the next day I totally fixed it. It probably was a process of figuring out, looking at your calendar, figuring out delegating, figuring out what can robots do. And I love that now this is how you help people as well. How long would you say it takes for someone to have that whole cycle of awareness and like fixing their calendar and then feeling relief? Is it different per person or have you seen different averages for the people that you help?
I think it comes down to how courageous are you, honestly. Like, if you're willing to say, I'm going to get honest with myself and I'm going to take action and I'm not going to sit around waiting to see what the world has to say about my choice. I'm going to choose what I need to do for me. You can knock this out in a weekend if you wanted to. But the reality is, it's much deeper than that. There's so many different facets to why is your schedule so packed? Is it the FOMO of it all? Do you just feel like if I stop saying yes to things, I'll never get invited? So it has nothing to do with your calendar. It has to do with your craving a sense of belonging. Or is it, oh, I'm afraid of money and I feel like if I'm constantly saying yes to everybody who's willing to pay me, then I'll never have to worry about being without money. Well, if God promised to provide for you, why are you so stressed out about money? Because he can't break his promises. That's just who he is. So it's like there's so much there that usually your calendar is just an indication of what you're prioritizing. Your time is the currency that we invest in what matters most, is what Laura Casey says. So it's like how you spend your time shows you exactly what you think matters most. And if what you truly believe matters doesn't align with your calendar, there's a lot of heart work you have to do to say, my family actually comes first. Well, do they? Do they get the most time on your calendar? Or my relationship with the Lord comes first. Well, do you start the day with the Lord or do you start it with Instagram? So there's just so much there. And so I think when you really start to unpack it, that's what takes the time, because it's like, okay, once you confront the reality of it, how courageous are you to take action and change things, even if it doesn't go along with what everyone else seems to be doing with their time?
Courage is a big thing. I wish I could buy that off the shelf at a grocery store, but it is something that must be built on over time. And I know it's these little steps of self-awareness and really digging deep of, have you heard of the concept of like the five whys, right? It's like, why can't I sleep at night? Oh, it's because how I spent my night before, how I put myself to sleep. Well, why was I working till very late? And you keep on asking yourself why, to get to the deeper parts of what you just said of, is it because I'm afraid of not having enough money? Or is that a trust issue then that God won't provide? And that can be so scary because then it's so real and it gets really identity shifting. And I think that's what's not talked about enough in the entrepreneurial world. Like, I love a good Canva tutorial from a beautiful expert like Lashonda. And sometimes we have to learn things that are even the deeper whys behind that. And so I'm glad that we can talk about this and get even deeper. And something I want to touch on, and you do it so naturally. And I think there's a number of people listening to the podcast who you and I identify as believers in Jesus and believers in God. And I'm not afraid to talk about it online, but I also have to pick and choose my spaces to talk about it. But you really so naturally peppered it like, oh, yeah, Bible study every Friday. Oh, yeah, trusting in God. How was that for you? How was deciding to talk about your faith kind of on a public platform? Was it something that came to you pretty naturally? Was it something that you had to get real with yourself about because it was a priority? I'm always so curious when I meet like fellow believers how their own decision process was around this.
I love that question because it has definitely been a journey for me. And I'm going to try to be tactful in how I describe this. I think that, obviously there's the Big C church, that those who love the Lord, we are all Christians, we're brothers and sisters in Christ. But I think that Everyone has their different ways of pursuing it. And so for me personally, and this is just my personal choice, I never wanted to brand my business as a Christian business that, from the very beginning, it's peppered all over my website and, I'm a Christian tech company and I'm for Christian. I really wanted to show them rather than tell them. And I would describe it to them as reckless generosity. In the back of my mind, I'm like, the Lord's given me so much. How could I not give to others? But at the end of the day, I wanted my actions to speak louder than my words. And then as time went on, I started to realize, oh, wait a second. I'm not being truthful to the strategy of it all to act as if God does not play a role in the success of my business. God's providence, God's sovereignty, God's hand is on my business. I could have the best marketing funnel ever. I could have the most robust flywheel ever. But if the Lord doesn't want to bless it, it won't be blessed. And so I just felt like, well, if I don't tell people that this is an essential part of who I am and my ethics and my values, then I'm actually not telling the truth about what's working behind the scenes. It's not about, I have the prettiest thumbnails. It's not about, oh, my SEO is on fire. That's not it. The Lord is blessing my efforts and others are being blessed by it. And so just like you would want someone to give a testimonial for your business to help sell future people, well, I have to testify the truth about what God's doing in my business. And so at the end of the day, I just had to accept the fact that there will be times where you will see the product of the Lord's working in my life and be so impressed by it. But if I don't tell you, or if I don't give glory to God for that thing, I've missed the mark and I've taken that glory for myself. If that bothers you, you can always unfollow, you can always unsubscribe, you can always go and find some other expert guru, what have you, on the internet. But I viewed it for myself as full transparency. This is who I am. I'm not going to pretend like I don't love the Lord. I'm not going to pretend like at the end of the day, if I lost my marbles tomorrow and couldn't remember how to use a computer, that I would still have a full life, because what matters most is my relationship to the Lord. It's not my resume. It's not my follower count. I could care less. And so when I got to that part of the journey where I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of leaving breadcrumbs. But then I got to the point where I'm like, look, my life is getting too crazy for me to not be like, look at God. Cause it's not making sense to me either. It's just awesome. He's awesome. This is awesome. Then it became very clear to me how to navigate it. But that's really what it looked like for me, is over time, I tested the waters until the point where I'm like, you know what? This is who I am. And I'm not for everybody, but for those who I am for, they love being here.
That's so good. What I'm hearing from you, it was just actually just being truthful. Like, if I'm going to explain to you what's happening behind the scenes, I can't hide God from it. He just oozes through your story so much, which I love to hear. Which, speaking of your story, even just your more professional story, I was on your LinkedIn the other day and I laughed because I loved just seeing the journey of Lashonda professionally, just creating so many cool things. You are a serial creative entrepreneur. You're like, okay, cool. Let's make some stock photos over here. Let's do a film festival over here. Like, probably a co-working space over here. How did those ideas come about? And I'm prefacing this and I'm relating it to the last question because I know for me, I feel like I have these aha moments. And for me, I have some part to play in it where I know I have to be like usually like fully rested, fully nourished, but it's really a gift from God to give me these ideas to start new things. For all that your path has taken you on, what role has faith played in all these different businesses that you've started? Can you give people little narratives or little stories? Because I've been talking to people recently who've just kind of been in this interesting, like, waiting or wanting to figure out what their story is or their path is. Can you encourage them with a bit of how your path has been in these creative endeavors and how faith has played a part in that?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many different ways to approach it. I want to give you this illustration first that I share with pretty much anybody who'll listen to me. I think in life, we have our ideas, we have our visions, we have our plans. And so it's almost like archery. You pull that bow back and you fling that arrow at what you think is a target. And all of a sudden you're aiming at this bullseye and it just goes way over the target and out of your sight. And you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I knew how this was going to end, but I guess that wasn't it. And little do you know, the whole time that you think you're aiming at some end result, what's actually happening is God is taking you to hit a target that only He can see. Everything plays a part. It all works together for His plan. But at a certain point, you just got to take the leap and trust Him. And you have to be willing to just walk away when it feels like things are no longer serving you. I think so often people miss out on incredible opportunities because their grip is too tight on what they're currently doing. And you know when something's run its course. You know when it's someone else's to steward over. I did my film festival for 2 years, and then I was like, you know what? Time for somebody else to take it on. And I had to trust that whoever inherited it would take care of it. And over time, it's not nearly what it was when I started it. And that's okay. It is what it is. My stock photo business, it served a purpose. But then, at a certain point, I thought, we're in the middle of the pandemic and it was lifestyle images and real life is not photo pretty. I'm just going to let this go and I'm going to move on to something else. And so I just think like my life has definitely taken a wavy path. I feel like it's starting, like all the different plot twists are starting to intersect and come together in a very fun way, which I thank the Lord for. So I don't feel as scattered. But at the same time, it's like part of what makes the journey so fun is to take a step back and go like, only God can make that make sense. My degrees are in theater. I've never even taken a business class. Why am I teaching business to small businesses and working with tech companies? Like I never would have, I played pretend for my degrees. How does that work? But you start to realize like, oh, I learned script writing. I learned stage management. I learned, and you fill in the blank and you go, okay, the whole time I thought I was going to be an actress on Broadway. Got it. That was not the goal. The goal was to learn how to study life so you could imitate it. That skill set made you more empathetic to people who are stressed out running their small business, and script writing helped you to make tutorials that people actually finish so they actually get the outcome so their business grows, so they can hire people, so they can stay in business, and God is glorified in that. Okay, got it. And so it's like at a certain point, you just start to realize it's not really important for you to know what the end goal is. You just need to be obedient to where you are in that moment and say like, okay, I'm going to bloom where you have me playing it right now. And this is the season and I'm going to rock it out until you tell me to move. And when you say move, I'm gone. I'm not going to look back. I'm going to keep moving forward and we're going to keep going. And so I think that's been the cool thing. My mom tells people all the time that I'm fearless. And I'm like, whoa, I'm really not. It looks like I am. I am scared to death. Half the time I'm speaking on stage, I'm sweating through my dress. But at a certain point, it's that trust that a kid has in their dad that, oh, when I leap, you're going to catch me. So how far can I leap? What other things can I leap off of? So it's really like this fun trust exercise with the Lord to say, if I jump, where are we going to go this time? And so I think that it's way less being fearless and way more of just strengthening my faith by just taking those leaps.
Goosebumps right now too. I'm just taking what you're saying and putting it in my pocket. I'm going to chew on it some more because it's true in that it may look fearless, but it really is for you taking steps of faith, and it's a trust issue. Do you ever feel like you wear so many hats as a small business owner? I totally get that. Here at Come Plum, we want to keep you in your zone of genius, how you serve and show up for people. So leave the branding to us. In a collaborative way through brand coaching, we help you define your brand foundations, your brand strategy, and your brand expression, all that fun stuff like logo, websites, videos, photos, and more. If you go to comeplum.com and mention in the contact form that you heard about us through our Branding Your Business podcast, you get cool perks like an extra hour of coaching or 10% off your coaching package. We can't wait to collaborate with you to build a brand that you and your clients love. It's showcasing trust and being courageous that I will continue to take steps forward and I'm going to be caught. There's going to be a net there. The Father is going to take care of me. And I think that is so huge. I also love what you said about being able to let go, not having any darlings, as they say. Like, okay, I created these things and you kind of know when their time's up. And how do you hold things so loosely with open hands? That's such a big lesson, I think, for entrepreneurs and especially creatives who have these beautiful ideas and they're really great out in the world, but sometimes they only have a 1, 2, 3 year lifespan, and that's okay. I feel like we don't talk about that enough. We think we all have to be like a Coca Cola, right? Like, oh, let's create a business that's going to be around for 150 years. Well, no, maybe that's not the purpose of it in the world. And I love that. And I feel that's so, so refreshing to hear. I know that's something that you are investing a lot in right now is your community within Bootstrap Biz Advice. I would love to do a case study on that. Do you mind if we double click on your community and the etymology of it? How did it start? Can you tell people what your community is and what it involves and what it's like?
Yeah, so it's steadily evolving, and I think that's probably the most important takeaway is that what you think your membership will be and what your membership becomes are two different things because it's not about you. It's about you facilitating and serving the people willing to compensate you. And so ultimately, you got to co-create with them. And so I think for me, I took a step back, and when I first started YouTube, I had no product to sell, no course, which is ironic, but like I just didn't. And so I created a buy me a coffee page and I said, okay, if you must support me, you can buy me a coffee. Because people were asking for my Cash App and my PayPal. And I'm like, oh, that's tacky. Let's do this instead. And so over time, I was like, okay, well, I wonder if I could get 25 people to pay me $25 a month and I could teach them and I could help them and that way I could have like a almost like a group coaching environment. Like that could be cool. Well, I sent out an email about that to my list and let them know what I was planning. And in less than a week, those 25 slots were gone. And I thought, what have I done? I'm going to need some help. Like logistically, how am I going to keep track of all this? And so I thought, okay, well, in order to really facilitate this, I need to give my virtual assistant more hours. I probably need to charge more. So I was like, okay, you guys were the founder members. You got in, you took action. Great. Love that for you. But $50 a month, that's what it's going to be. And, if people come in for that, awesome. But that will offset the extra hours for my VA. And then more people came in and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll figure this out. So then I'm making YouTube videos and I'm, teaching them. And by the end of that really beta testing year, I thought, I really need to share the wealth when it comes to teaching because I'm not an expert in everything. And I really don't want the pressure of having to do these deep dives and things that are not my area of expertise. So I thought, okay, let me do this. What if I had another membership tier and that was just for the monthly workshops. And that would pay for the guest experts. So I could pay my friends to come and to teach, and I could introduce my friends to my community. And so that became that second membership tier. And so for $10 a month, you could drop in for 10, or for $10 a month, you could be a Bootstrap Star student. And I started to realize, oh my gosh, this is amazing because now I get to learn. I get to decide, okay, well, I need help with this. I need help with that. And they'll benefit too. So this will be awesome. And then I got the notice of a tech company that said, hey, would you be willing to let us turn your community into an app? And I thought, okay, well, I am a tech educator. It makes complete sense that I would have an app, but what in the world does that look like? And so then that was the next iteration of the brand shoots and designing the favicon and figuring out how we wanted the app to work. And so now what's so wild and incredible is those members get to leave social media and they get to learn in the Bootstrap Biz app. And we get to talk to each other. They can DM me. They can watch replays. They can cast it to their TVs. And I would have never thought that it would evolve to that point, that I would have an app in the app store. But when the Lord put that opportunity in my lap, I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to say yes and I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. It's fine. I can do that. I'll just figure it out. And so, I'm going into the next season with the app and I've got some cool things planned for them based on what I've seen them doing and what I've heard them asking for. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it is that this is our community. We get to decide what it's going to be. And as our needs change, as our desires change, we can mold with it. And so it's been so fun to not just talk to the screen, but now I have a way for them to talk back. And it's been a really important part of how I run my business.
That's huge. It sounds like a great skill that you have is being a good listener or asking great questions, because it sounds like you had a really good pulse on what your community needs. How do you do that? Like, very practically, how did you find out what people needed? What does that co-creation look like? Is it really like leave it in the comments? But some people don't comment. Like, how do you really eat that
No,
out
I
of them?
bribe them. I bribe them and I make it very
The answer is
entertaining.
bribery.
Bribery.
Okay.
Yes. So practically speaking, I give away things all the time to the point where I was like, oh crap, I should probably like run the numbers and see if I'm losing money giving all the stuff away. But I typically will give away some type of gift card or book or what have you on the call. And we do live polls on almost every single call. And we use a tool called Aha Slides, and it makes it like interactive. It takes over their phone. They go to the link. And what I'll do is I'll change the redirect. It'll be lashondabrown.com/poll. And so I'll ask them, basic questions. But then sometimes it's like, okay, hey guys, I'm considering this. What do you think? And they'll vote right on the spot. And so it'll typically be anywhere between 2 to 5 questions. And at the end, there's a spinner wheel and we do the drum roll, a little drum roll, animation comes on the screen, and then we spin it and somebody wins whatever I'm giving away that day. And so if I don't survey them on that call, they're not going to click a survey link. And so the calls have become almost like this live TV show. We have commercial breaks, we have segments, people come on stage, and it's just fun. And because it's fun, people show up for the calls, and thus the calls become things they want to show up for. And so I think that's part of the process. It's like they need to feel like their opinion matters, and they need to be able to see that you've listened and implemented what they said.
And again, this reminds me of how your theater background has come into play yet again here. It sounds like your theater background has made you a really fun game show host.
Oh yeah, I put on a show. They know.
Vanna White over here giving away gift cards and technology. I love that so much. What is next in this season for you in this membership? Can you drop some hints, or some of it a secret?
No, I think so. Honestly, it's so funny. I I kind of looked at the membership tiers as these little islands. It was like, okay, Bootstrap Star Students here and Bootstrap Creators there. But I think really what I did is I created, unbeknownst to me, that, bronze, silver, gold packages and just gave them names. And so I'm like, wait a second. So if I were to restructure it in my head as pricing tiers versus separate communities, then what would that bottom tier be? And so the bottom tier is going to be the Bootstrap Club, which is my newsletter. And so this idea of newsletter subscribers and that workflow being told, hey, so glad you're a part of the Bootstrap community. Make sure you go download the app and participate in our free community events. And then it's like, okay, once you do that, well, love that you've been a club member for 3 months, which you'd like to be a star student. And after 3 months of that, hey, love that you've been coming to the workshops, which you'd like to be a Bootstrap creator. And so I'm just really trying. The word of the year that I had a couple years ago was consolidate. And for so many people, the word consolidate is so focused on paring things down. But really what it does, when you look at the definition, it's paring things down for a more coherent whole. And so for more clarity, for more strength, for more impact, it has to be clear. It has to be organized in such a way where someone else can tell your brand story for you. And so in my head, I'm like, as I start to consolidate this more, then the affiliate program is going to be way more set up for success. And then it'll get to the point where members refer members. And then I can just sit back and just be Mama Shonda and just pour into them because I don't even have to do sales anymore. So that's really the goal, is to not think of them as isolated things, but to bring everything together and say, If you're willing to give me your email address, you're in the community. You tell me how engaged you want to be in this season. And at any point, change it up. And I think giving them that level of freedom and allowing them to get off of social media is going to be really special.
Mama Shonda again with the wisdom. I just see the parallels of what you did with your calendar is also what you're doing with your community of just like, okay, you could have all these things on your calendar. You could offer all these things in your community, but it's about getting back to what's important. It's about getting back to what your audience needs and making it clearer and clearer and clearer. And that is not an easy thing to do. I feel like you have such a gift in doing that, which before we hit record, you also told that you like to do things a little differently, or that feels like it's kind of the direction that you're going toward. And that I've talked to a few friends who also have online communities, and yours sounds a little different. And even how you do your calendar is a little different. And it seems like just how you're running your business in general is a little different. And who wrote that permission slip for you that said, okay, Lashonda, you're going to run a business and it's not going to be trendy. You're going to run a business and you can be free to do whatever you want. How did that happen to be? How are you ruminating on leading your business in these kind of new, fresh ways without giving in to the hype of the template of everyone else is doing it in XYZ manner?
I have always been an old soul, and I think that's part of it. Just in my DNA, I am always that person that's like, you won't be able to figure me out at face value. Have a conversation, and I might unpack one part of who I am, but there's a whole lot of layers to this parfait, and that's fine. And I'm fine with that. And I think that's the joy, going back to theater, it's like you learn how to really dig in deep and to study this world that you're living in and to tell that story in a way that people truly believe you're that person. And then when the show is done, you move on and you pop on over to a whole nother show as if that didn't happen and become a new person. And so I think the joy of business overall, I feel like success in business is just being able to keep clocking in and not quitting. You might change what you sell. You might update your logo. You may change your website, but ultimately you're going to win at business if you just manage to stay in business and don't quit. So when I see myself getting bored, I'm like, all right, well, how can I add more enjoyment to this? How can I add more excitement to this? Do I need to just let it go? And so I think just giving myself permission to not create a jail and trap myself in it and call it a business, but say, I'm actually the boss. So I would not like to work 9 to 5. I'd rather work 10 to 3. I can do that, but even just something as simple as I don't keep Slack on my phone because my brain treats Slack notifications like a text because they both come up in the same way on my phone. And I'm like, nothing you could ever post in Slack will ever be as important as a text from my mom or a text from my husband. So I'm taking Slack off my phone. Is what it is. When I'm working, I will be on Slack on my computer. And when I'm not, I will be off. And so I think just giving yourself permission to create those rules that you want to play by. And just to remember that if somebody doesn't like your rules, they can go play somebody else's game. And that's great. You saying no is opening up an opportunity for someone else to say yes. So it's like, hey, if it's not a good fit, that's fine. So many times brands have asked me to do things and I'm like, dude, I'm just not, the short form video girl. Like I need time. I know I want to do a horizontal video, not a vertical one, like if I must, I must, but if I don't have to, I'd rather not, and just being willing to say, hey, this is what will set me up for success. Can we do this? Just being willing to make the ask. I've read a few books. The book Women Don't Ask was so, so helpful. Sometimes I just ask for the things I want just to see if I can get it, and then that adds the excitement to business. So I just try to do everything I can to maintain my sense of joy. If I can maintain my sense of joy in business, no matter what is on my to-do list, no matter what is on my calendar, I can handle it. But as soon as the joy drops, as soon as it feels like I'm just putting in the hours and I'm just going through the motions, I'm sunk. I might as well work for somebody else. So, that's the long and short of it. I wish it was way more concrete, but I like being happy. I like loving what I do. And so if I feel like, well, shoot, I don't think I like this, I just tell people, hey, I don't think I'm a good fit. Even if I've said yes, I just humbly say, I'm so sorry. I really thought that I could make this work, but unfortunately, I'm hitting a lot of friction and I'm hitting a wall. So I think it's best for me to step back so someone else can have this chance. I've had to back out of things too. So you don't have to get it right out the gate, but you do have to be honest with yourself. Running a business should be the most exciting thing ever because for the first time, you get to decide what you do for money. That is wild. And so if you lose that joy, you need to fight and do everything you can to get it back.
What I'm hearing is choose joy over jail. What? Jail, if it feels constricting, don't do it.
Just don't. And I think that's the freedom. It's like it's so funny. We have, some people call it the scarcity mindset, but it's just fear. Like your faith has to be greater than your fear. Like that's just it is what it is. Like if I say no, I just have to have faith that something else is going to come along I can say yes to that's a really good fit. But if your schedule is full of the things that you don't actually want to do, when that dream opportunity comes along, you won't have the margin to say yes. And that's just the reality. So you got to be willing to leave space for the good stuff instead of filling your calendar up with the things you feel like you have to do.
Can I ask you what your personal values are and your brand values are? Because I can already hear joy and happiness are huge values for Lashonda. What
Yeah.
other values do you have? This is what we love to talk about on the podcast because we're kind of backtracking to see we know what her business looks like, but you are basing it so much on what's important to you. So what are those values for you?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, there's the Bible, and then there's just, I want to be that mentor that I always wanted. So it's like, I'm not going to check my faith at the door. So that's going to infuse everything that I do. But ultimately, I know what it's like to live in the mountains and to not be able to look around for somebody to show you the way. And it's like, okay, like I don't see very many Black women with braids teaching tech. So I want to be that for someone who, when they look at that video, can see themselves and see what's possible and say, wow, I want to learn from that person. And so that's really what fuels it. It's like I didn't have that person mentoring me that allowed me to fast track and to not make those bad choices because they were willing to share the good advice. And so, yeah, that's it. It's just be that mentor I always wanted and let your faith infuse everything that you do. Other than that, I just try not to be boring because boring is bad. I mean, other than that, it's not that deep. I wish I had, my core values printed on my wall, but I think sometimes the simplicity helps you to actually do it. We overcomplicate things with SOPs and PDFs, and I'm like, I already have the Bible. I'm good. But in terms of how someone else can describe it, it's like, yeah, I am trying to be what I didn't have. And if I can do that, if someone can say, thank you, now it makes sense. Yes. Okay. I can do this. Okay, cool. I know the next step now. Like that's me doing my job. If you leave confused and chaotic, then I missed the mark. But if you feel empowered to take the next step, then I did a good job that day.
You know, you're a natural alliterator. Confused and chaotic. Boring is bad. Joy over jail. Like she's spitting rhymes. I should just be like,
Listen, I love me some alliteration and some onomatopoeia.
onomatopoeia. So good. Okay, we're going to end our podcast with a fun game where I have our core values
Yes.
cards here. Boo, 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 boo. I'm going to pick three and then just spitfire. You're going to name the brand or the person who are like, oh my goodness, this brand exudes that value. So I don't know what we're going to pick, but are you ready?
Yeah.
No pressure.
I know. I was like, oh, you should cheat and tell me in advance. Okay, I'll do it. Okay.
Okay, you ready? Do, 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 do. It's coming on the screen. Teamwork.
Flow desk.
My girls.
Yes. The girls and boys, but a
And
lot of
Trump.
girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have watched the journey since before
Your
day one.
YouTube video one for
Yes, yes. And I just feel like, Martha is definitely, the point person because you got to have somebody being the point person. But that is a group effort to really fill the gap for people who want to design beautiful emails that people actually like to get. Like, it is so cool watching every single employee thrive in their thing, and collectively it makes the tool stronger and better for us. So as of right now, I would say Flowdesk.
I love it. Okay, this is a
They did
great
not
one.
pay me to say that. It's the
They
truth.
didn't pay me, but side note, Lashonda and I became friends on the Flow Desk retreat. So,
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
I'll like throw in our picture together in Lisbon, but it's fine. Okay, next value. Boop boop. Okay, let's see. Come on, camera. It says impact. It's like kind of there. It is.
Okay. I'm trying not to cry. Pastor Brody, he's a pastor at our church who is 76 years old and is realizing, because of some health concerns for him and his wife, that he has to start scaling back. And in the process of doing that, it's been so clear the impact that he has had on so many people at the church. And to watch him intentionally set things up so that when the time comes that the Lord takes him home, there won't be a loss in shepherding. There won't be a gap, because he has trained up so many people. He, over the past couple of weeks, has been kind of like, hey, I'm not going anywhere, but also I'm 76, and just watching him gracefully scale back and bow out has been very impactful for a lot of people. So yeah, that's the person I think of when I think of impact.
Okay, last one. Boop 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 boop. Beauty.
Okay, this is going to be, okay, can I say two?
Yes.
Okay. The mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains that I love. I just grew up in a very flat place, and I just see so much beauty in where I live, and it has changed me as a person. So definitely see beauty there. But I also see so much beauty in my marriage. Like, I'm so freaking grateful for my husband, because we have worked together longer than we've been married. And I think watching how our marriage has impacted other people, like, he's the reason why my live stream setup looks this good. He edits all my videos, he films all my videos. Like, if not for the beauty in our marriage to be able to work together and produce something of value, like, I would not be where I am. So the mountains are beautiful, but so is my marriage.
Shout out. This is so good. So, so good.
It's the
Lashonda,
truth.
how can people find you? I know people will be itching to connect with you online and in person. They'll probably find you in the mountains, obviously. But if they were
Yes.
connecting with you online, how can they find you?
Yeah, the simplest thing to do is just go to lashondabrown.com. That's my hub for all the things I'm doing at the moment. And so I would definitely encourage you, if you are feeling burnt out, especially. Burnout is real, but it doesn't have to be a reality, and I can help you fix that. So just sign up for the Bootstrap Club. It's free 99. Get on the list for mindful marketing and tech tips. And then if you want to commit more, girl, I'll take your coins, and we can figure out what's a good fit for you. But that's the best place to go.
LashondaBrown.com. Thank you so much, Lashonda. You're the best.
Thanks, friend. This was fun.